Hey everyone, this is Let's Talk Podcasting Tips. We got two people in so far with us tonight. I'm Joe Pardo from HowToDream.co. Paul, why don't you tell everyone where you're from?
My name is Paul Kennedy. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm broadcasting live from the inside of my 18-wheeler down here in Port Lavaca, Texas, picking up oysters.
Awesome.
And David, where are you from?
Dayton, Ohio. I'm David Michael from the Passionate DJ podcast.
Awesome. And Samuel, you just joined us. Dio, tell everyone where you're coming in from. You, you there, Dio? He's a little frozen. All right, so I guess when he gets sorted out, we'll let him come through. So I know tonight we have with Paul Kennedy a really awesome, unique way of podcasting on the road, literally while you're driving.
Yeah.
Uh, and I would love for Paul to get started by talking about his mobile setup and his 18-wheeler.
It's pretty simple. It only took me about 4 or 5 months to figure it all out. And I got to figure out where my camera is. Here it is. Okay. And I'm going to have somebody come up and give me paperwork here in a second. So when that happens, I'm going to have to sign. But basically, I had my own podcast or my own show, a biblical study show on Blog Talk Radio. And after I did it for about 4 years, and then I decided to kind of do a show about podcasting for the trucking community. And I guess about 2 months ago, I, stopped doing my other show and really did all the getting all the information necessary to launch my own show, control my own content, all that good stuff. And so I actually got my first show uploaded probably second week in February. And I still haven't really nailed down exactly the format, but I needed to get all the technical aspects of it and get good sound. Basically, what I'm using, I've got an Audio-Technica BH-PS1 headset. I got that plugged directly into a Scarlett 2i4 with a Fed head on it. And then I got that plugged directly into my Mac. Now, my Mac right now is sitting on my passenger seat. And so I've got probably 3 or 4 different ways that I'm able to do this. I still haven't really nailed down. Obviously, I don't have a mount for my camera. One of the things that I'm having problems with is this Logitech C930. If it has any kind of shaking, it really it has a problem focusing. So I don't know if I need to go downgrade and get the 920, if that'll work better. I saw on last night, I was doing research on it, and I saw the Zoom Q8, and I guess it just came out a couple weeks ago, and it actually has, a real fancy camera and good sound inputs on it, like it's a digital recorder and does all that to a sound card. So I'm going to be looking into that device. But for right now, I'm just going through my Mac, and I got an AT&T Wi-Fi card, and this is my first time ever trying Google Hangouts on air in a group setting. I've done several self videos that I've uploaded to my YouTube channel, but other than that, I mean, it's a big band hog too. It takes a lot of internet to broadcast this stuff. So I usually just use Skype, and it probably, when I do 3 hours worth of Skype interviews, it's going to cost about 300 megs of data on my card. This one, I think 30 minutes is almost like 2.5 gigs. So it uses a lot of data. So I probably won't be using this for my format. But, I mean, the field is endless. There's all kinds of ways that you can do this. And it's going to be real interesting to see how this project blossoms. So,
Paul, did I understand correctly? You're a truck driver, and you're doing a podcast about truck drive.
Yeah.
In the truck driving space for other truck drivers?
Correct. My website is thetruckerspodcast.com.
That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's awesome.
So it just right now for the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to find a sidekick or somebody that that has the technical expertise, that has good sounding equipment, mic, voice, and then the technical know-how to be able to pull something like this off. And I ended up getting a phone call and an email from a driver in the UK who's been driving for 30 years, ex-military, speaks the Queen's English, and when he called me, he put me through an interview to hear my sound equipment, and then when it passed his sniff test, we started talking. I was like, man, this actually really could work, where we do a trucking beyond the pond, if you will, where we're doing fielding calls from truckers in the UK and in the US, and I mean, the party will ensue. So.
No, I think that's awesome. You were able to find somebody that's so passionate about it, like you are.
He found me because I've been sitting still for a couple of weeks, wondering why I even did all this. So.
Also, the with the 920, I'm rocking a 920 right now. So I don't know. How does that look to you? I'm just like giving it a little shake.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, I mean it's. Let me see here. Yeah, it's still kind of slowing down a little bit. I just don't think these mics are meant for a lot of action. As long as you stay still, right in front of it, they work. But if you start, if I do all that and it starts to doesn't know what to do with the focusing and stuff. And when I start moving, I drive a Freightliner, and they call them shake liners because it's so rattly. And so I'm loaded right now, and I'm probably just going to stay here and not really test it because I don't want my laptop dropping because I don't have it fully mounted. And then probably by the end of the week, I'm going to have that. I need to figure out a place whether I'm going to put this camera. I was thinking maybe putting it behind me where it's like that, where have it, something like this where it sees me driving, or whether I'm going to put it up here, and so I just got to figure out what the best lighting is and the best situation for it. And it's a work in progress. One of the funniest things that the guy from the UK, one of the questions, he's like, so how does it feel, Paul, to be the only trucker doing podcasts from your truck? I go, yeah, I guess I'm the only one that's doing it. And he's like, yes. Because that's how he found me. He was looking for other truckers that were podcasting. He found one of my videos on the YouTube, and he's got his own YouTube channel. He hasn't gotten into the podcasting, but he's had very good success with his YouTube channel. He's got over 7-8 million hits on his YouTube channel. So, I just, it's amazing that there. And of course, he's a company driver, so it's one of those things that. He's done a lot of things outside of driving for the last 25 years, and so he's got a lot of expertise in the technical side of things. So it's gonna be fun if we can get this thing pulled off.
Dio, I'm sorry, David.
Go ahead. So this is a video podcast?
The one that I'm doing?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I will. Right now, I'm taking video and then, stripping it down just to the MP3 and putting that up on Libsyn. Now, granted, I only have one episode up right now, so I really, I think that for like Google Hangouts, if I can, make it. Right now, it's just a podcast. So if it's going to go to video, then then I'm going to have to change up a little bit, but not much. I mean, I already, ultimately. Anytime I have an interview, I want to have video and audio, so then I can choose which way I want to do with it. So.
Okay, I was just curious because being that your niche is other truckers, I'd imagine that there's a huge benefit there, and that they're in a truck all day. So a podcast format definitely makes sense for them. But I was wondering where you were going with the video, since I don't imagine they can really, if they're actively driving at the time.
Right, but I mean, a driver only is driving legally 11 hours every day, and then he's spending the rest of those hours in the 24-hour cycle at a truck stop. And what better way can you, what other medium can you watch from your cell phone, your laptop, your iPad? That's YouTube, right? And so if I'm able to put all these onto the YouTube channel, then it makes it real simple for truckers to be able to get involved with the channel or at least catch up on episodes. Now, when I do live episodes, one of the things that I've kind of come across is the phone queue, right? Blog Talk Radio, I know everybody bitches about their sound, but for $40 a month, man, that phone queue and everything that goes along with it is it's absolutely amazing. To be able to take calls like that, and that was one of the things that I've been talking with my friend across the pond, is that, because we're at 8-hour difference, so at nighttime he would be at home and he could actually run like a phone queue while I'm driving, and then vice versa. So it just, there's lots of options and lots of different ways to go. And as I grow my my audience and what they want, I'm just going to deliver the content that people are wanting. So at least that's the goal.
That's a super cool concept, Paul. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree. So Dio, is your microphone working now? Yes, no. How do you say your name? Is it Ape? Api? Harpe. Is your microphone working? Oh, Hape. Wait, he came through for a second. But I'm not here. I don't know if anybody else is hearing anything, but I'm not hearing anything.
Well, what's up?
Hey.
What's going on, Joe?
Hey, Anthony. Not too much. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick? What's your name and the website that you're from?
I'm Anthony. I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I'm at memyselfandiradio.com. I have a podcast and a blog I'm working on.
And because Dio can't speak, I'll introduce for him is Dio Samuel, who is from audacitytolead.com.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we were just talking about Paul Kennedy's setup in his 18-wheeler and how awesome that is. So what kind of stuff have you guys run into, say in the past 2 weeks that you guys could use a hand with as far as looking for tips or ideas for your podcasts?
I guess I'll go first. I got a bunch of equipment that I'm working on plugging up, and I'm learning how to use Audacity and stuff. And I was just trying to get into the Hangout on my PC, and it's like not letting me for some reason, because I want to try out my mic and my mixer, but I can't log on. I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, huh. So are you using Google Chrome to try to log in? Because I know I have some issues with Safari. It works, but there's some quirks to it.
I'm on
using Chrome.
Fox.
On Firefox, and it doesn't. It's funny. Your phone is slowly rotating away from your face.
Oh, sorry.
It's alright.
Yeah, that's me for a plugin or something like that.
Yeah. You have to install a plugin to get it to work in Firefox.
Yeah, I did that, but it's still not popping up. Let me try it again.
Why don't you fill in everybody what mic you got? What kit you purchased?
I got a Behringer. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a Behringer. It's a podcast studio. Kind of comes with everything. It's a mic, a mixer, and headphones, and it plugs in through the USB in my PC. So I'm in the process of trying to get that to work, and it's giving me problems. So.
Oh, it's weird because it shouldn't. I mean, that's the whole point of buying a kit. is you should be able to just plug it in and go.
Yeah, no, that all works. Like I got it to record on Audacity and stuff like that. It's just getting into like these chats for some reason. My internet won't let me connect or something. It's something I gotta troubleshoot.
Well, what stuff have you come across with starting to use Audacity for your podcast? Any like learning curve or anything?
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, I've been watching some tutorials on. Get out of here! I've been watching some tutorials. I'm my roommate on YouTube mostly to learn how to use it, and I found a lot of cool tips on how to make your voice sound better and stuff like that, using the tools and stuff they have available through the program. So I've been messing around with that a little bit.
Anthony, if you have links for that, like sound quality related stuff, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying the stuff you've been looking up regarding making your voice sound good on the podcast and stuff. If you have links for that, I wouldn't mind seeing them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when you I guess when you get your into your computer, that'll get the plugin so you can get into the Google Hangout on your computer. You could share them right from there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hape, are you able to speak now?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Okay, well, welcome to the welcome to the conversation. What website are you from?
Thank you very much for welcoming me, and it's good to be here with everyone here. I used to work on mylifeexcel.org, which is down for the meantime, and so I'm currently working on reviving it now on mylifeexcel.com.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that?
I actually started blogging more seriously from sometime in October last year.
Oh, okay.
And
why did you slow down?
What?
I'm sorry. Why did you slow down?
Why is the website down?
Oh no. Why did you slow down? Like with your blogging? Why are you trying to revive it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, my website was down, or it's even still down. It was a problem from the web hoster. So, but I'm currently migrating to a new web hoster now. So I'm actually on the process of kicking off very soon on a new web hoster and a new blog, actually.
Oh, okay. And do you have a podcast, or are you looking to start a podcast?
Well, I've been talking with Dio. Dio is actually my very good friend, and like I said in the comment section, I actually got to know about this hangout through his Facebook status. So I've actually been talking with Dio on starting a podcast. So I'm actually working behind the scene, putting things together, and I hope that very soon, before the end of the year, I'll be able to launch my podcast.
And what is your podcast going to be about?
I'm working on something called Intentional Excellence. Yeah, so the theme of the podcast is to challenge people and corporations to become intentional with achieving excellence. So what I intend to do with the podcast is to share strategies and secrets on how to become intentional with your life and with everything you find yourself doing as your purpose, so that you can achieve excellence in it.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now, what are you from Nigeria as well?
Yeah, I'm originally from Nigeria, but I'm currently in Australia, so I'm joining the hangout from Australia.
Oh wow, another continent.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool, man. Very, very cool. So do you have any like podcasting specific questions that you've been like contemplating that you might be one of us might be able to help you?
Well, I would have had maybe probably before the end of the hangout I'll be able to get one because I didn't know about this. I just woke up some hours ago and decided to take a look at what's happening on Facebook and saw my friend's status, and I quickly had to click on the link to be here. So I hadn't prepared any questions ahead, but I'm sure that before the end of this I'll be able to come up with one.
Okay. I'll just chime in when one arises. So, David, have you made any strides in the last 2 weeks to make better on your podcasting venture?
I've had to take a little bit of a break on that just because, well, as you know, I started a business, and this is like my first tax season, so it's taken a little bit of my cycles away to work on that, as well as some other family stuff. But yeah, my main thing right now is I need to. I think I mentioned this last time, is to just be focus on creating content. I mean, I've been doing this for probably a year and a half now, and I've got 14 episodes out, so that's really not a high enough rate for me. I'd really like to work up to a bi-weekly and then eventually a weekly at least. And it's just finding the time and in my schedule, and I just haven't taken the time to do that. So yeah, any time organization tips that you guys have when it comes to recording podcasts and interviews and that sort of thing, I'm all ears.
I've got a couple questions.
All right, go ahead.
First off, 6-7 weeks ago when I started this whole process, I had no concept of what a DAW was and what it takes to record all these things. And right now, I mean, I have Logic's on my Mac, and then I also downloaded the Ecamm software for my for the Skype calls, and then I have ScreenFlow. So those three things, I believe all three of them record sound pretty good. I'm not sure if that's the way to do it or not. The way I've been doing is the Ecamm software has, you just drop that huge QuickTime file and it cuts it down to an MP3, and I've been uploading my interviews to my SoundCloud channel. And since I only have done one episode that I've loaded up to my Libsyn account, I did that directly off a Google Hangout on air, and then I just ripped it, and then I went and just uploaded it. So I don't know if that's the best practices, or if you need to do anything more than what the Ecamm provides, or I mean, is that the way to do it, or am I doing it wrong?
Well, I mean, let's I don't know. Well, first off, let's answer Dave's question about time management, and then we'll answer your question about the Ecamm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Paul. You're actually you're right on what I do as far as like recording it off of Skype and then just dropping the entire movie file, like the .mov file, into Audacity and just let it strip everything out and then edit it from there. And it's worked for me. Episode 150 comes out tomorrow, so if I'm doing it wrong, then it's whatever, man. it's worked. But
my podcast is in the DJing niche, and I'll tell you the same thing I tell my audience, and that's if it sounds good, it is good.
It's very true as a DJ. So with time management, it's I try to fit in people wherever I can. I know that some people try to use the scheduling the scheduling apps out there that are like some of them are free, some of them cost like $10 a month or whatever. I tried using those, and I actually was starting to get people that wouldn't get back to me after we were talking, sending email, and then I'd be like, okay, here, fill out this, scheduler and pick a time, and then a couple people that's where it died, that's where it stopped. So, after that, I was like, I'm not willing to pay for something that people aren't apparently wanting to use, and kind of actually feels a little rude to ask people to go to a website so they could be on my show. Which seems ridiculous, right? Because it's a time-saving thing. the whole idea is that you don't have to keep emailing back and forth, about what's Eastern Standard Time versus the not Eastern Standard Time. Some other, like a person that's in Australia or a person that's somewhere else, and trying to figure out the time realm. I mean, I know with you, David, there's DJs all around the world you would like to probably interview, not just ones in Eastern Standard Time.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean I don't know if it's really a problem with scheduling the interviews, because like your podcast is entirely based on interviews, and I just have them sometimes, so I can't use that as an excuse. I think it's more my fault than time zones and scheduling. You know what I mean? I'm on this thing where I started really regimenting my schedule, but that's easier said than done, and I think I just need to work the podcast part of that into my schedule. Something like Mondays are entirely dedicated to recording podcast episodes or something like that, just so that I can because my problem is I want to get ahead of the game and be like 3 or 4 episodes ahead, and the same with my blogging, and I never seem to actually get to that point. I'm always playing catch up, and then I finally get one scraped together and edited, and then I throw it live, and then 3.5 weeks later I start recording another one, and it's just, I'm building a decent audience, and I'm not taking advantage of it. And when you start to gain followers, you need to keep cranking out that content on a consistent basis, whether that's once a month or once a week or daily or whatever it is. And I'm just not being consistent, and I feel like that's a huge fault on my part.
Now, real quick, Dio, before he goes, wanted to mention that he believes vcita.com is a free scheduler. So if that's your thing, and I think that it does have its place out there, scheduling people in, but I've been over scheduled for by people trying to send me to their schedules, like to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And not even like for an interview or something like massive time commitment, but I do believe that there's an over-scheduling problem out there.
Yeah, I think some of it too, and that maybe somebody else can benefit from this. It's easy to get held up on waiting till the perfect time, or waiting until I'm fully prepared and have all my notes done and all that kind of stuff. And I think if I would just get in there and record some damn podcasts and edit them down for the good stuff, I would probably be a lot further along than trying to overplan it. Throw something out there.
I'm in the same boat with you, actually, with that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, what have you found, Anthony?
I was kind of having the same issue. It sounds like that you kind of like got motivated, and you had everything together. But it sounds like you're kind of like me, where you're a perfectionist, and you kind of want everything to just go your way and everything like that. And from a lot of the things that I've been reading and other videos and podcasts I've been watching, one of their main things is they tell you just sit down and do it. Just sit down and do it. Like I'm off on Thursdays, so I'm gonna dedicate every other Thursday to recording a podcast. Whether I have material or not, and that's a schedule that I've set going forward. Any time of day on Thursday, it's just something I want to make happen, and just got to go from there. So.
Yeah, it's the last 2 episodes I did, 13 and 14, were both recorded on a whim. Episode 13 was a New Year's episode, and I wasn't even home. I recorded it from a vacation home in Tennessee with my iPad. I conceptualized, recorded, edited, and posted the entire podcast within like 12 hours. It turned out great. So I don't know why I'm hung up on this perfectionism thing when I should just get out and do it. But
yeah,
it's hard to move past that barrier of I want everything to be perfect before I start.
One of the things that I'm really, and I'm just getting started doing this, where I'm going to be the truckerspodcast.com. That part of what I'm doing is going to be interacting with different truckers from all over. And what I want to have set up, and currently right now, as you can tell, as I've been moving my camera around, I'm still trying to figure out where the best place to put the camera and all this. And what I want to have set up is that whenever I get any kind of a email or anything, that within 5 minutes I can just flip the switch and be ready, pull off and set up. I mean, hopefully the way I want to do is have everything mounted in here so that all I have to do is hit a button, and then it automatically connects to Skype, and then people can actually contact me through that, and then it'll just be up and running, and I'll have a either a Bluetooth device or something like that where I'm automatically going to get an interview. Now, I mean, obviously, the trucking business aspect that I'm trying to launch as well, is trying to set up these interviews, and as I was talking with Joe before we went live, figuring out other trucker, the CEOs of companies that have gone from 1 truck to 50 trucks. Those are the kind of interviews that I want to place, and obviously I'm probably not going to be driving down the road when I'm talking to a CEO or a bigger time interview, but I want to have the ability to do both, and I know that once you start doing something like this, things can blow up real fast, and the next thing you know, you've got all this, opportunities, and then you're dropping them because you don't have them. So I think having some kind of a, scheduling system would obviously be the smartest way to do it. But if you can't get your guests to use it, and that's a problem because people, don't want to do anything like that, then it's just like, I was an IT consultant for almost 15 years with IBM, so I know how to set appointments and get it done. But yeah, I'm curious to hear other podcasters doing this. So.
Well, I think in your case, it would be advantageous because you're on the road and you're driving, and you can't be trying to send like 5 emails back and forth to figure out like an interview. But I think that especially for you, it has its place. Do you send it to the CEO of a company? No, you don't. You find the time to make that email because it's a personal connection. But to other people who aren't necessarily a CEO or anything like that, and I hate to like classify people. I hate like classifying like that, but it's like one person wants to be on the show versus you want them to be on the show.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah. And it could be a nice little filter system to keep the technologically adverse people. Here, this is the first hurdle. If you want to be on the show, you got to jump this hurdle. Right?
Yeah.
You can get past this first hurdle, and you're going to have to get you a Skype account, and you got to get that up and running, and then or see right now on my webpage on the truckerspodcast.com site, I have a Google number, right? So people can just click on that, and from your iPhone, if you click that number, you can call it directly, and then when they leave a voicemail, it just directly comes to me as an email and does all the text. So I'm thinking that would be a really cool way. And then also, I think that there's services out there that, hey, if you got a technology question in your trucker, hit *6744 and text me, and then I'll get back with you. So they don't have to do anything. So the easier we can make it for our guests or, people that are going to be, interacting with the show, the easier you make it for them, the easier it will be to, of course, you might get a whole bunch of people you don't want to interact with. So there definitely needs to be some buffering systems in there. So.
No, I agree. I think it is good because you don't want to be trying to troubleshoot somebody getting a Skype account and all that, especially in your case because you're driving. You
right.
Can't be messing around with that kind of stuff. Unless it's somebody that you want on the show versus someone that wants to be a part of the show, and it's difficult to make that discernment. But I think it has its place. I just think that it just depends on who you're trying to get on the show, whether
And that's a good thing to have, right? To have 50 people that want to be on the show, and well, you know what? Only 2 are going to get on, so you better make your thing good, right?
Yeah.
And so, and when you can articulate that through your show itself, where you're talking to people, then they know that up front. And, you know, say someone's, well, I don't know how do you get your Skype set up? Well, you got to go to Skype.com, and I will do a one-time call with somebody who's like that. And then that way I can just point them to a show. Well, here, go to episode 22, and you'll see how to do it. And, you know, and then that way you're actually providing a service for people. And, you know, really, at the end of the day, and all you podcasters know this, it's about relationships, right? It's about making that connection with somebody. And so if you can help somebody, and that's the only reason why I'm doing this, it's for me to help empower truckers to be able to stand up on their own platform and be able to voice their opinions. And you know, I'm trying to get out in front of the podcasting truckers movement, just like it was in the 70s with the CB, right? It was the first time that the truckers were able to communicate without any kind of government intervention or any entities messing with them. And it was a free flow of ideas in the 70s. And quite honestly, it's what I dreamed about when I was a little kid. I wanted to talk on the CB, and it's funny now, but once again, the tidal wave is coming in, and I firmly believe in the next 2 to 5 years, you know, 90% of content of people listen while they're driving down the road will be podcast. So.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's got a little bit of ways to go still. It's not quite there, but it's definitely a lot further along than it was 5 years ago, and even, you know, especially 10 years ago. So.
Well, if they get past the you know, the copyright issues with music, and say, like, you know, I pay so much where I can play an hour's worth of music or something like that, where I can post that up as an episode, where, you know, I can, you know, this is my sound list, or this is my music list, and then people want to listen to the, you know, the trucker type music or whatever it is. When that happens, and I can't believe the record industry hasn't done that, because they're leaving money on the table doing that, because people would pay to be able to use the music in a limited capacity, you know, not necessarily to make money off their product, but to enhance and all the other good stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother ball game. I mean, getting, you know, music that you can use legally in your podcast is not too hard, and it's not too expensive. But getting songs that people actually know and would actually want to hear is a bit harder to get in the first place.
And, you know, you can also do streaming, right? If you do have a streaming radio station, you can play that license, and but it can't go up as a podcast, right? It's just going to be a one-time stream where people can tune in to you at 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and you can stream for an hour, and that you pay X amount to do that, versus being able to upload it and publish a, you know, piece of content where, you know, people can go download it. I think that's where the legal issues are right now. I mean, I could be mistaken, but I think that's where the rub is with the record industry.
It's tough. They don't want you to really stream it. Like, if I started playing music right now, like copywritten music, it would actually warn us that within, you know, 20 minutes or so, it would shut it down. The whole Google Hangout on air. Yeah, it's that good. It's funny because I actually used it for I did a live performance on my turntables, which are right there, of a music, my first music album that I put out, which was all Disney music mashed up with hip-hop instrumentals, and it actually could pick out the fact that it was copywritten material, even though it was just two songs blended together, like, pretty much the entire time that it was on.
So I was doing the same thing, but I was mixing in beats into I have a whole bunch of King James audio versions of Scripture, and I was putting it in there and putting beats behind it, and you can find that on my SoundCloud channel. But you know, one of the things that I emailed I have a little 25-key Novation, you know, a little MIDI device, a little piano. It's got 25 keys on it, and drum pads and stuff where you can plug in your loops and stuff. And it also comes with an iPad app, and you can plug it directly into your iPad and record and make your own music. And you know, I sent the corporate, you know, can I use your beats on my, you know, are these royalty free? Are they podcast safe? And I've got an email, and they're like, yeah, good luck with your trucking podcast and enjoy your loops, and you can use it. But so then I started doing it, and then it gets flagged every time because somebody has used those loops to create music, and now that's copyrighted. So now, and I talked to another friend the other night, and I'm still researching this right now, that when YouTube flags your account and you are a licensed holder to be able to use those 2 beats or whatever Logics or whatever beats you're using, they can't do that. I mean, you have a license to be able to use that, and so you have to fight Google. Don't take your video down. You have to fight it and walk it through because their process is broken, because it's basically their computers that are just monitoring and listening, and when it fits that category, just like you were saying with your Disney beats and stuff, it's going to pick that out of there. And I've also heard that even guys like Alex Jones, if you have clips of his voice, they're actually, your voice is copyrighted if you're like on movies and things. So like Alex Jones was on the Scanner Darkly. So if you're in that database of movies where it's not only picking up the things that are happening in the movie, it's going off the frequency of people's voices. So that person's voice is now copyrighted, even if it's your, and so people, they were ripping down Alex Jones's, his videos because of his voice that was in that other movie, and you have to fight it, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's 10 steps, and it could take 2-3 months. But if we don't fight this, they're just going to keep doing it, and it's just going to, we got to fix the problem.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother. Let's talk about copywritten music,
Right?
And the system, as broken as it is. But I mean, does anybody else have anything that they've experienced as far as things that they have questions about with their podcast?
I'm still trying to figure out, how do you set the auto for Google Hangouts on air? How do you get it to switch when people are talking?
Oh, well, if you don't click on your, as the administrator, if I say I click on your camera right now, like your camera is being broadcasted to YouTube because I clicked on yours. As soon as I click on it again, it goes to whoever's just talking in the chat room.
See, mine won't do that. It sticks and won't once. I mean, I've tried 3 times now, and I don't know if it's my browser. I mean, I'm using Chrome. I don't know why it's not, and I can't find any information about it online. So I must be doing something either stupid and I just don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know. I can't get it to switch. So right now you don't have it to automatically go to whoever's talking then.
No, it is. It just switched from you to me. And if
it's not doing it on my screen. Like I clicked on my own screen, so let's see if okay.
Working here.
Okay, now I guess it is working. If I click on my own picture, then it does it. If I unclick it. All right, I'll just try.
Whatever one's highlighted with a white box around it, that's where it is.
All right.
Also, I agree, David. He was pointing out your Apple Moon, and I started to notice that about 20 minutes ago. that was coming through.
That's. Am I going to get in trouble for that?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Let's see if I can get it off.
No, it's neat. It's neat. You leave it.
Well, I mean,
I
I was gonna put my Shure sticker right above my head, against the back of my, right above the back of my seat, so people could see my Shure sticker for my 3, what is it, the 7N3B, whatever the big microphone for the home studio. I have that one, so I want to put that sticker somewhere. Maybe they'll pay me to put it up. So.
One could be so lucky.
Right.
Hape, have you had come up with any questions that you would like to ask?
Yeah. Well, what I think should be the most important question I can ask at this point is, for those of you who have been into podcasting for some time, I believe you have some level of experience, or you have an advice, some lessons you've learned you would want to give to someone like me who is just about to start. I've not even started at all. I'm just putting things together to, in preparation to start something. So my question would be, what advice would you give to someone like me who is just thinking of, joining the podcast community?
All right, Paul, you want to start, and then we'll go Dave, and then Anthony, and then me.
So let me understand the question correctly. As far as talking with somebody who is interested in podcasting and the best way to get started, or I'm not real sure on the question.
Yeah, what would you give? What advice would you give to someone who is about to launch a podcast?
Okay. Well, if they're deciding to launch a podcast, depending on what they were asking me, if they've decided they wanted to launch a podcast, have you, first of all, what is your podcast going to be about, right? And then make sure it's about what they're passionate about, and that they have an idea of how many the frequency that they're going to put up their show, and is it going to be once a week, every day, 30 minutes, 45 minutes? Is it going to be a guest show? And if you got that all taken care of, well, then how are you going to host it? Where are you gonna put it up on Blueberry, Libsyn? You're gonna do it for free, and then ultimately, I'd say, how much money you want to spend, right? I can get you up and running on a podcast for probably $150. I can also do it for $300, and I can also do it for $3,000. So depending on where you want to stand, how much money you're able to put forth is going to determine the sound quality. But you can get really good sound quality with a $150 setup. So, I mean, those are kind of the questions. When people come to me, and I actually had a friend of mine that I worked with at IBM last night. I was telling him basically what I was doing, and he was like, well, how do I get your podcast? And this guy's been a technology consultant for 25 years, and he doesn't even know how to use the podcasting app on his iPhone. And that just tells you that we have a lot of ground to cover to help people get get up to speed, and not only to be able to download that content, but also, like I told him, you can go to my website. That's probably the easiest way to do it. If you don't have an iPhone, just go and then scroll on my podcast page and scroll down the bottom and hit play. If you've got an iPhone, open up your iPad or your podcast app that's on the phone, and then search it and then download, and then it's just basically, I haven't really had in those kind of conversations yet where all of a sudden they got fired up and they're going to go do it. But that is what's going to happen as I start to broadcast this out to the trucking community, and it is a pitch, right? You got to have a 3 to 5 minute pitch of how to podcast and be able to articulate that to people to keep the movement going, right? So yeah. I hope that helps.
I know. I think you've raised a lot of good points there as far as like what to look for when you get started, and how
it's a deep question
when the show.
Yeah, it's a deep question when someone goes, "Hey, I want a podcast." Well, have you really thought this through, man? You got to count the cost, man. It's not just go out there and go do it for free. Yeah, you can do it that way, and but if you want quality, at the end of the day, it's the quality of your content, man. You got to deliver content to people. If you plan on, everybody in the podcast wants to make millions, right? That's everybody's push, and as long as you got dollar signs in your eyes, people are going to smell you coming. So you really have to just drop that and focus on relating to your audience, right? It's about relationship building. If you don't have any concept of that, I would say wait. Go read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People before you even start the podcast. But that's my dime store opinion.
Thank you very much.
David, what would your advice be?
I've got a few. I sent a link to the chat if you guys haven't seen that yet. It's to a podcasting tutorial by Pat Flynn, who may not be familiar with. If you want to easily remember that URL later, just go to podcastingtutorial.com and it points to that same address.
What's his name?
Pat Flynn. And it's podcastingtutorial.com. It's easier to remember. And that's a series of 5 or 6 videos that will, from soup to nuts. I mean, it'll tell you, okay, here's how to get started in a podcast. Here's how to register on iTunes. Here's how to blah blah blah. It goes through the technical basics of that. Okay, so
Yep.
that's my first thing. I started touching on this earlier before I had to bolt, but don't wait on perfection, because you'll just never do anything if you're like me. At a certain point, it's got to be good enough. So, and the other thing is, the nice thing about the podcasting format is that it's pretty wide open. You can kind of build it the way that you want it to work, because you don't have, it's not like, oh, I've got a 30-minute radio spot and I have to get 6 sponsors in there, so I'm going to have so many segments. Like, none of that stuff matters. It's completely wide open, so you could do a 5-minute daily podcast, you could do an hour-long weekly podcast, you could do, however you want it. So don't get too hung up on details like format. Do what makes sense for you and your audience, and glean from, other podcasts that you like, because they're all a little bit different, and that's something that I do a lot. I like the way that this podcast kind of handles their interviews, but I really like how they the format or the arrangement of the show is on this episode, but I like how this person presents themselves. And so I kind of pull these little bits from everywhere, and it's still evolving because I'm only 14 episodes in, so I still have a lot of evolving to do, and I hope that it always is. Also, before you start, 2 things that you should do if you do decide to jump in. Wait till you have maybe 5 or 10 episodes in the bag. So finish 5 or 10 episodes before publishing.
Okay.
Because, 2 reasons. The first reason is that if you do get any attention to your podcast and somebody goes to it and you only have 1 or 2 episodes, they're not likely to stick around. Whereas if there's a list of things for them to go back and listen to, you have a better chance of hooking them. And the other reason is you're a lot more likely to be thrown in people's iTunes, like new and noteworthy, and that sort of things that Apple will put it in front of your face and say, hey, here's a new podcast. If you have a bunch of episodes in the bag already, it goes a long way towards that. I started with 1 episode and I just threw it up there, and I kind of wish I hadn't. And then plus, if you just get better at it by episode 5, you might decide you don't want episode 1 anymore. You might want to remove it. And collect email addresses from day 1.
Okay.
Build a mailing list, because nobody can take away your mailing list. And if you build a mailing list, if you eventually want to monetize your podcast, if you want to make money from it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got to start with at least 3 episodes when you launch to iTunes, because of the fact that you want to be able to show people that you have, a lot of more content, and that you're here to stay. And also, it helps your downloads, because that's 3 episodes that people will be downloading, hopefully, right from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah.
Anthony, you're up next.
Yeah, I think Paul kind of touched on this already, but definitely pick your niche. Podcasting is a very niche community, whereas, you want to have a specific thing you want to talk about. Like Paul talks about trucking, so he's got that community on lockdown, you know what I mean? David loves music, he loves DJing, so he's going to pull in that thing. So let's say, for instance, you like politics or something like that, or religion, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you know the most about, that's what you want to talk about. So I think that's first and foremost. Listen to other podcasts. All the guys that are on the screen right now, go check out their sites at the end when everybody gives you their information. See what they're doing, which is kind of the third point, networking. Join little social groups, Facebook pages, other little communities that you can get into that is going to talk about podcasting and things you can learn. David talked about tutorials. Those are always helpful. And this is all stuff that I'm currently doing myself because it's, to echo David's words, it's ever-evolving process, I guess you would say. And when it evolves, it becomes something like what Joe has at Dreamers, 150 episodes, man. So, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So, good luck.
Thank you.
That's very well put, Anthony. Yeah, I don't know if there's much I could add to any of that. It's all very. Let me see here. You know, I to echo a little bit of what Anthony said, and what Andrew said, and what I do, and what Dave definitely does is, you know, you gotta find something that you're passionate about. To borrow a term from Dave, with his passionate DJ.
Passionate DJ.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. But you know, you gotta find something you're passionate about, because you gotta be willing to want to talk about it like all the time. And you know, the other thing is set achievable goals for yourself, because you know, when I started, I didn't start with 5 episodes a week. I started with 1. And I got tired by the end of the first week. I got tired of waiting for the second episode to come out. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to jump right into 3 because I already have like 15 episodes done.
I really wish that was my problem.
It was waiting and being complacent with the waiting. You gotta go. Especially you, Dave. I mean, you got so much passion for what you do that you started a website about it called The Passionate DJ, and so you know, you just go for what you're really all about, and that's how I landed on, you know, Dreams, is because, you know, I could have did entrepreneurs. I know plenty of entrepreneurs. I've been around business all my life, but wasn't my thing. You know, I DJ, but DJing, I mean, I love DJing. It's a huge passion and all that stuff for me, but it's not something I feel like I could talk about, and something that I would probably, after episode 10, get bored with. I love Disney, but I can't talk about Disney on a podcast, you know, 3 days a week. It's just not, there's not enough in me to bring out, you know. So when it comes to Dreams, like I felt like this was the thing that, you know, was for me. So, and that's how I kind of just fell into it, and here I am at 150 episodes. It's been an amazing ride, and the 1-year anniversary comes up in May, and I'm really excited for that. And you know, the other thing is, and Paul mentioned it earlier, is it's all about people. Sorry, my friend is messaging me. Hi, Pam. It's all about people like Pam, who is actually a viewer right now watching this video as we live stream it, and it's all about meeting people and connections, and not just making fans, but making people, you know, meeting people who become friends, and that's really the amazingness that this medium really brings in. And I mean, YouTube and blogging and stuff like that, but really, to me, it's about making friends. So don't lose sight of that, man, because you're gonna meet some awesome people that you would have no reason whatsoever to talk to otherwise.
And that's one of the things I'm so excited about doing. What I'm going to be doing is that, I mean, truckers, they are the funniest group of people, and especially the old codgers who've been driving for 25, 30 years. I can't wait to get a couple of these guys on air and be able to share with the world just how awesome some of these guys are. So, and lots of words of wisdom. So it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited and can't wait. So.
Wow. Thank you very much, everyone. I think what you've shared this, okay, well, it's 12 noon here in Australia, so permit me to say what you've shared this afternoon would be very, very valuable to me, and I'm actually going to make use of each and every one of them.
And lucky for you,
I've,
this is recorded, so you can always go back. Because
yeah,
I know we hit you in the face with a lot of information all at once.
yeah, yeah.
And if you
So,
ever have any questions or anything, you can always you can find me on Facebook. I'm at Paul Andrew Kennedy. You can find me there. And anytime you got any kind of questions or anything, just shoot me an email, man. I'll do whatever I can to help you. So
okay, can I have everyone? I've already sent a friend request to Joe Pardo already. But if I can get the rest of you your Facebook address or something like that, I can also send you a friend request. So.
here, I'll just put it in the chat room for you, and then you
Yeah,
can,
put them in the chat room, and
Okay.
then we'll start wrapping this up. Everyone will get to say where they're from again, and we'll get this wrapped up here.
All right.
I think I put it in both groups, Facebook chat, and or I guess
Yeah.
if you're there we go.
Yeah, he did it to Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Oh, my internet.
By the way, okay. I'm sorry, I'm still not sure how to pronounce it.
Happy.
Okay.
If you are deciding on, I don't know if you have like really your concept for your podcast really whittled down, but if you find that there are similar podcasts in the space, don't be intimidated by that.
Wow.
I read something the other day where somebody was complaining about, like, why do I want to start a podcast now? I missed the boat. There's already 500,000 podcasts out there. And I'm sitting here going, like, 500,000 is tiny. I'm like, do you know how many successful blogs are still being started right now? And there's millions of those. So there's plenty of room in the podcasting space for multiple ones on the same topic. So I wouldn't let that push you away from a decision.
Thank you very much for this, because it's actually one of the greatest concerns I've had in planning out what I want to do with podcasting, and somehow nobody has actually told me this thing you just said now, because every other person I've tried to talk about podcasting and what I want to do would always tell me, there are lots of people in that niche, and there's no need for you to go into that place. You need to find something new, something that someone else has not done. And frankly, it's very difficult to find something that someone else has not done, And so, thank you very much for sharing that. And
You don't always have to. I don't believe.
No, I agree. I agree with you, David, that it is still a fairly untapped market for that. So, don't be put off, because like he said, the people are putting out new blogs every single day of the week, and a lot of people don't keep it going. I think the average podcast only lasts like 25 episodes or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta find something you're passionate about, something you can talk about a lot. And if you're going to do more of a topic than an interview, make those topics up now, months in advance. Every time you get an idea, just write a note in your phone or on paper or whatever, and just keep it going. But yeah, just gotta get, especially if it's topics, you gotta start building them now, because you want a big bank of topics to talk about. You don't want to run out, and don't rely on people to tell you or ask you questions, because it could be very, very long before people start asking you questions on your show.
Wow.
To keep it going.
I think the best, just go out there and talk about what you're passionate about. Eventually you're going to figure out, if you keep doing it and you get enough time underneath the mic and you start, having my blog talk radio show where, I always had 2 or 3 people talking about it, and I had, 300 3-hour episodes underneath my belt. So I don't have any problems talking to anybody at any point at any time on the phone, because I don't edit my episodes. I don't go back. I drop it into the Ecamm software and I upload it. I think that's real, and it's just, that's one of those things that obviously a production of my podcast is not going to be my selling point. I know there's some guys out there that are going to do that, and that's fine, but whatever you're passionate about, whatever people talk to you about, when you're at dinner, when you're at lunch with your family, when people come up to you, what do you talk about? And that's what you need to start with. And once you start there, then you'll find your niche, right? And then as you find your niche, then you just go carve it out, man. You just got to go do it, because see, everybody wants a podcast, but when you stick a mic in most people who say they want a podcast, they go all Cindy Brady, right? The red light comes on, they don't want to do it anymore. So part of that process is getting that, getting the experience underneath the mic, where that doesn't bother you. Then it just becomes of dialing your passion. And see, one of the things I'm having to get over right now is to get up and do podcasts by myself, because I like to be talking with people or exchanging ideas, but there are other people that can just get up and talk for hours, and that's just not one of my strong suits. So I'm learning how to do it, and I have done it, and I'm doing it more now on my YouTube channel. So just figure out what you're good at and run with it. So.
And Paul, to that point, I've also found that I've been able to pull, both for my blog and podcast, I've been able to kind of pull from other interests and passions that I have that aren't necessarily related to DJing, and kind of work those in as either spin them in as their own topics, or use them as kind of supporting points to, for instance, I listen to a lot of entrepreneur and business podcasts and that sort of thing, and there's so much information in there that if I just take that and I change the main noun of the sentence, it directly applies to my audience.
Is that how you write all your articles?
What's that? Sometimes.
You just go to entrepreneur.com and just reword the title.
Sometimes that's how I come up with topics. I don't just rip the articles, but yeah, it is very helpful. Or social media stuff. It's one of those things where I don't have an audience of people who are interested in Facebook, but I have an audience of people who are interested in building their own audiences, and Facebook is a means to that end. So it's not, there's not too many degrees of separation to just pull from all the things that you're interested in and say, okay, what can I learn from what I'm studying about business, or what can I learn about working on my car? That's another hobby of mine, and just taking those and using those as inspiration for either coming up with new topics or elaborating on ones that you're already writing.
Another thing that was just you guys reminded me of was the fact that you got to find your voice, and it could take a very long time to find your voice, find what not just how you want to sound, but how the show really should go. And you start with a rigid schedule, this is how we're gonna structure it, and we're gonna keep it inside the box, and eventually you're going to want to step outside that box, and you're going to do it on your terms, but you got to get comfortable and find your voice and find the comfort level to step out of that, and to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to ask this question in the interview, or I'm just going to not fit that rigid, I don't want to say it, but I think some of you might know who I'm referencing, that rigid question and answer, or however you set up your format for your show.
Just go from the heart. Go from the heart. Do what feels right to you.
Yeah,
that's what's great about this.
Yeah, that finding your voice too, it only comes as a product of doing. You're not going to find your voice and then start a podcast. You have to start it and find it along. I'm still finding it myself. So
me too.
I guess that goes along with the perfectionism thing. Don't wait until you're the perfect podcaster. Just start podcasting and it'll come.
Right.
Yeah.
And real quick, I want to give one more shout out to Pam, who is watching with her kids right now, who wanted who I should say hi to. So hello.
Hi, Pam and children.
Hello.
Uh, so that's a truck horn for those who are
For
just tuning in.
all the kids that are always giving me this sign, it's the best part of my job. Best part of my job.
That is one heck of a perk, putting smiles on kids' faces.
That's
Yes,
good
sir.
to know. I always wondered if that annoyed you guys. So.
I do it anytime I get a chance, man.
Cool.
So, is there anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap up?
I don't know, man. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch this one.
Well, I guess we can wrap it up here. I do want to make mention before we do the closeout, where we go around, everyone mentions where they're from, that the next Let's Talk Podcasting, I really need to start a Facebook group for this because I'm managing two sets of things, two sets of Facebook events. It's Let's Talk Sponsorships. It's on March 24th.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And then the week after that is, I think, March 30th. March 30th at 8 p.m. So both events, the 24th and the 30th, are at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Google Plus Hangout thing. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but
Lots of suffixes.
yeah, it's here on the Google Hangout Plus thing, Plus Hangout. So so I'd love to have anybody that's watching join us. Look for it on Facebook. Just type in Let's Talk Podcasting or Let's Talk Sponsorships, and it should come up. It's always like a bunch of people talking for the picture. So why don't we start with Anthony and then Hape, and David, and then Andrew, and then I'll go at the end.
Yeah, my name is Anthony Hayes. I'm on Facebook and all that good stuff. I'm at MeMyselfAndIRadio.com, and my podcast is on Spreaker, and it's also called Me, Myself, and I.
Okay, my name is Ape Omede. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I'm currently in Australia, where I'm actually studying for my PhD. Like I said when I introduced myself the first time, it was initially blogging on mylifeexcel.org, and unfortunately the web host is down for the meantime. So I'm currently migrating to mylifeexcel.com, and my passion is discussing strategies to achieve excellence in life. And I hope to maybe by the next hangout I'll be able to give us the feedback on how I've gone on setting up a podcast.
I'm David Michael. I'm from PassionateDJ.com and run the Passionate DJ podcast, where I explore the art and science of mixing music and promoting oneself and try to become better DJs through passion and purpose. And you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/PassionateDJ, on Twitter at DJ with Passion, and on SoundCloud, if any of you guys use SoundCloud, at /PassionateDJ.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
My name is Paul Kennedy. You can find me on the Facebook at Paul Andrew Kennedy. I also have my podcasting website, which is thetruckerspodcast.com. Make sure you put ERS. There's also a trucking, but mine is thetruckerspodcast.com. And on there, I have links to my Google page. You can find me on Google Plus at Paul Andrew Kennedy. And then I also have a YouTube channel. If you get to my YouTube channel, then it'll have all of my SoundCloud and my Instagram and all that stuff. So I have all that there, and I'm still working on getting that up on my website. And I only have one episode up right now because I'm still working on the format, finding my voice. and but it's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. So if you have any questions or anything, you can email me anytime. Not a problem. And thanks, Joe, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'd love to have you on, all of you on again. You know, on the 24th, and then again on the 30th. So again, I'm Joe Pardo at howtodream.co. That's a dot and a C and an O, like a .com, but without the M. But it's intentional, so it's not forgotten. As I've gotten people that say, "Hey, you left the M off the end of your web address," and like, yeah, I wish that was the case. So someday, hopefully that will be actually someday soon that might be the case. Hopefully, but you know you can find me on there. Has all links to Facebook and all that. And then if you're interested or live in the Northeast, I'm doing a podcast conference right outside of Philadelphia. You can get there at podcastmidatlantic.com. It's September 12th. It's a Saturday, so it's an all-day event, and I'm trying to keep it real cheap and keep it really creative and not just going there to listen to a bunch of people talk. So if you're interested, again, podcastmidatlantic.com. Tickets go on sale April 1st. So again, this has been Let's Talk Podcasting Tips. Next podcasting tips is on March 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Google Hangout on air. Google Plus Hangout on air. So thanks again for all you guys joining and all the people who tuned in the view, and will tune in the view, and we'll be here again.
Good to see you guys.
Bye.